The Freeport to Butler Trail. We are in the Freeport trailhead right now. Not much to look at, but it's a nice size. We have ridden this trail before, but I haven't videoed it, so let's go for a ride. Freeport, Pennsylvania. We're just outside of Pittsburgh city limits. We have actually, like I said, we've ridden this trail before. This is actually the first long trip that we ever took on the Rad City bikes. It's 20 miles from Freeport to Butler, so it was our first 40-mile trip, and it was our first long run on these Rad Cities, and it was mucky and muddy and lots of friction, and I ended up on that 40-mile trip using every bit of energy in my batteries. It's the only time I've ever depleted the battery on the bike. Last time we were up through here, there were a couple of washed out areas, a couple of neat waterfalls that were along here. With the drought that we've been having, I doubt the waterfalls are doing anything, but we will find out. Creek is very low. What is this, Buffalo Creek?
Yeah. I've never been here when it's this low.
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm wondering if the waterfalls are even going to be working. Rapid Indian or whatever it is. Oop. Pay attention where you're going, dummy.
Oh, that is so pretty.
The benches are new.
Yes, they are. They look very nice.
Somebody's fishing camp. They have a shelter that's right on the water, open to the water. Pretty cool. Yeah, the cooler. I'm gonna go for a ride and take a case of beer. Actually, a lot of people on the trail today. Just mostly when I have the camera off. Because of the COVID crisis, bicycling has become huge. Bicycling and kayaking and just other things where you can go out and get out of the house, do something, and not be around people. Not be, right on top of people. You get online, you can. I keep reading what other people are writing about ordering these bikes, and it takes several weeks now. They've become very, very popular. But any bike in general, we went into Walmart and we just went in to get a tire patch kit. There was one bike in the store. So bicycling and RVing have become very popular, and we came in just ahead of the curve. We got ours before this all came down. That is Route 28, way above us. And of course, right underneath it is the water treatment plant. Now, I can speak from experience, there will be no red caboose.
Big game. Well, all right. Ooh.
See, one of the neat things about this trail is that, you know, I'm born and raised a Pittsburgher, and I've driven streets all around Pittsburgh and Allegheny County all of my life, and I always prided myself on knowing every road and every place to go. And I started riding these trails and found out there are a whole lot of places that I'd never been before. Like that road we just passed. I've never driven on that road, not once. And it just makes me wonder where it goes to. As a motorcyclist with over 40 years experience, I would just go exploring on a motorcycle all the time. So I really thought I knew them all. And this has really been an education that I do not. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Really dry.
I just think that would be such a cool property to own back in there. I've never seen the creek so low.
Look at the park.
Now, on previous trips through here, different times of the year, the waterfalls were all running. And boy, they aren't today. The creek is almost dry and none of the waterfalls are running. But where we came through and the trail was washed out, fixed up like nothing ever was wrong. Looks good. Now, when we first started this, part of my research would be to find out the elevation of the trailhead, because I always wanted to start out going uphill so it'd be easier to come back. And with the e-bikes, that hasn't been such a necessity. We can just go. But one of the things that my wife was just commenting on was it's been a while since we've had just a long, slow uphill grade. Rode a bunch of those trails out in Ohio, and they're a lot more up and downy. But this long, slow, it doesn't look like much, it really doesn't feel like much till you get a couple miles in, and you're thinking, like, come on. So we're feeling it today. They have their own switchback trail. Yep, someone's coming. Like someone built a retention wall to hold the cliff up. Oh, that fell off.
Maybe porcupines or a bear or something. Could be coon if somebody left food in there.
Check out this little guy. He's all right. Coming up behind you, buddy. You're okay. You don't have to stop. There you go.
Okay, buddy.
Just get to the side. It's fine.
That is the coolest thing.
That's pretty cool.
He has an electric bike. Keep up with that. That's the coolest one I've seen yet.
It is. Just hit 1,700 miles on my bike. Here outside of wherever we are. Hey buddy, where's your friend?
Hi, buddy. Where's your buddy? Last time you were too.
See, I think it would be cool to have a house like that right next to the trail. Trail goes through your front yard.
I'd live in that.
Well, trail goes through your side yard. It would be
I think that is awesome.
have a lot of room for dancing.
Yep, pull the motorhome in.
So we just passed the 10-mile mark, and I remember on our very first time on our regular bikes, that was our turnaround point. We were very excited about that.
I gotta get in front of you. Make sure this wasp isn't following me.
All right. I don't see any wasp. All right, thank you, pal. You all right? Okay.
Thank you. Feel like stopping for a drink?
We can do that.
Up here in the shade, maybe.
Right here?
Yeah.
Nah, too far away. It won't have gotten it.
There's another one.
Oh,
And another.
and a bird.
Yeah.
They are gone.
Just quickly disappear. There's our Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. There's a smell for you.
Now their jobs are to gain weight and get big.
Not throw objects at turkeys. You know what? For those of you that were coming through here and made it so they felt the need to post that sign, shame on you. See, the beauty of the e-bikes, and we're finally doing a little downhill stretch here, but coming up the hill we were just starting to feel whooped. So instead of stopping, taking a break, we just turn up the power assist for a little bit and we can keep going. So we don't have to stop, and even tired we can continue moving, continue the range of motion and the strengthening and the endurance, instead of stopping on the side of the road and go, I'm so tired. Watch this thing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the warning.
Well, we don't know what's coming. I don't know, it kind of makes me nervous that people are driving golf balls across the course. Certainly wouldn't want to get beamed by an errant golf ball.
Is this the derailleur?
I believe it is, yes.
I wonder if they're open.
We could see. Derailleur Bike Shop Cafe. They are. Did you want to get something or?
Maybe on our way back.
All right.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. Thanks. I'd just love to see inside it.
You want to go inside it?
Yes, I do. The building is from.
Wow.
That's close.
Yeah.
This is where they're missing out.
Yep. And in the words of Porky, that's all, folks. I just think if chambers of commerce were really on the ball, they would entice businesses to come to the ends of trails like this. So on our first trip, like I said, I went through all 5 bars. Really can't remember how many bars it took me to get to Butler. It took me 1 bar to get there today. We're just kind of poking along right now because we stopped and ate a little picnic lunch. Let that digest a little before we start cranking. We'll see how much juice we go through this time. Last time I remember cranking it up into 2 and even 3 a lot, just because I didn't know the limits of the battery. I am much more acutely aware of the limits of the battery now. I just think they could have worded this sign a little more carefully. Like just so, as I was saying before my GoPro battery kicked out, the addition of the word "the" leaving the rifle range would be a lot more comforting than leaving rifle range. I feel like someone's ready to pick me off at any moment. I just wanted to get a shot of how high we are above the yards, how much dirt they brought in, how much land they brought in to elevate this track to make it level. It is. I love setups like that. I love those family rigs. I talked with a guy a little while ago. Said that he was 72, still doing all this riding. I hope that at 72 I am still capable of doing all this riding. Talked about a guy that blared his horn at him and forced him off the road. Hope that guy's all proud of himself for forcing a 72-year-old bicyclist off the road. Bikes have right to the roads. whether you like it or not. We actually saw them on our return trip. And if you're watching, sorry pal, my camera wasn't on. I don't always leave my camera on because my camera battery only lasts so long. I switch it off a lot. So we're at about the 35-mile mark here, and I've just dropped down another bar. I have 3 bars left. I only have 5 miles to go. Up there where all that rubble is, that's where the path had washed out. So when last we were through here, this was a very active waterfall. Very pretty. And there's another one further down. The other waterfall wasn't here, but it's where the path had washed out. Not now. We've been pretty dry for a long time. Alright, that was a 40-mile round trip. Last time I did this trip on this bike was the first time I took this bike for a long trip, and I exhausted the battery. Pretty much exhausted myself too, but sore took us. Not much of an epilogue. Ice trail, it's worth a ride. I wouldn't go far to do it, but it's definitely a nice local trail. Oh, Mother.